Joining me now is Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California, a member of the Judiciary Committee and ranking member of the Subcommittee on Immigration, Citizenship, and Border Safety. You know, Senator, as I was listening to that clip, I feel myself getting stupider because there's not a reality where non-citizens are voting in American elections. So what you hear the Secretary talking about there is a solution in search of a problem. Why do you think that this administration continues to repeat the lie that non-citizens are somehow voting in American elections?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alicia. And first of all, congratulations on the new show. Thanks for having me on so early. Look, we know a couple of things about the administration. For them, it's all about the spectacle. It was about the spectacle, as cruel as it was when the surges began in Los Angeles last year when it came to immigration enforcement. Of course, this last week and just yesterday, we saw a big spectacle in front of the White House. And now Markwayne Mullin is foreshadowing a spectacle at the polls this November. That's what it's about for them. Second, you said it at the top. This is a solution in search of a problem. All the studies, all the audits, all the reports show voter fraud is exceedingly rare, but there's a couple things we know about the administration. Number one, they don't like dissent. They don't like people disagreeing with them. Number two, they don't like accountability. That's why they resist congressional oversight so much, whether it's in the halls of Congress, at detention centers, or anywhere else. And third, they don't like people voting against them or against their agenda, and they're setting the stage to try to rig this November's election in so many ways before ballots are even cast.
I want to concede, Senator, that I struggle with stories like this and the decision whether or not to play the sound I just played to you from the Secretary. In a past life, I did a lot of work around voter outreach, specifically with young voters, with Latino voters, and anyone who's done that work can tell you that when you talk about voter suppression, because you want voters to be aware that that is a possibility, you always run the risk simply by sharing those threats, just like you heard the Secretary doing on TV, that you will in fact suppress the votes. And I think about the fact that during this past election, I was reporting from my home state of New Jersey, and I talked to a lot of organizers who said, listen, just because of the ICE presence, we are now having a different experience when we go door to door, right? That Latinos, U.S. citizens who used to come to the door to talk to us, they're now talking to us from second and third floor windows because they're scared, because there's just an atmosphere of fear. And so when he's talking about undocumented people, or he's talking about folks who don't have papers, he knows he's not just talking about them, right? I mean, he's talking about an entire community that has incredible electoral power, that has proven to be a swing vote in election after election. And I don't know what you're hearing from folks in California, but when I talk to folks in New Jersey, there is an element of fear that is playing into these elections.
Yeah, look, that fear, that hesitancy is real. And I totally hear, what you said. In the past, we've been maybe cautious about sharing these types of threats for fear of people feeling like maybe I shouldn't go vote because I don't want any problems. I don't want to get any issues. We're living in different times now. As several of us, not just here in the Senate, working with voting rights advocates and organizers across the country are preparing for this November's election, we have to share what's possible. We have to share what the Trump administration is threatening to do so we're not caught by surprise. And second, to let people know, to reassure them that we're aware, we're paying attention, and we're getting ready as well. So people should know that we're on the case, and we're going to do what we can to prevent their mischief, their efforts at intimidation, and remind people of their rights. If you're eligible, register to vote. Know your options for registering to vote. Make a plan for voting. You want to avoid the polls on Election Day? Great. Vote by mail if your state allows it. Most states do. Or vote early. Don't leave it to the very last day. Exercise your options, know your rights, including the right to be able to cast your ballot without being intimidated.
Well, Senator, stay on the point that you just made about the fact that you in the U.S. Senate are doing everything you can to safeguard the vote, because just last week you had Republicans on the Senate Armed Services Committee shooting down a Democratic effort to bar federal troops from entering polling stations or seizing ballots. What have you heard from your Republican colleagues about why they can't get on board with that?
Yeah, just on these types of issues, they're just falling in line with Donald Trump because they're afraid to stand up to him. That's been the story of this Congress. When Trump came back into the White House last January, he came into an administration with a Republican majority in the House, a Republican majority in the Senate that has refused to conduct meaningful oversight to hold this administration accountable. You know, you think we've had oversight hearings on an out-of-control ICE and CBP? Of course not. You think we've had oversight hearings on Epstein files? Of course not. You think we would exercise our time in Congress to have oversight as to why gas prices are so high, grocery prices are so high, the cost of health care is so high, the cost of housing is so high. They're saying no, 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 whatever Trump wants.
All right, Senator, I'm going to ask you to stick with us because I need to know, should a Trump impeachment be on the agenda if Democrats take back the House? The new comments from Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, reaction from Senator Padilla. That's next.